Extraño a mi gatita Chepina que está en mi casa, a que iba a tener unos bebés y no los pude conocer. También a mi maestra.
Hundreds of folks are making their way into these facilities without beds, without medical attention, without legal representation. Folks at the age of 7, at the age of 6 years old, as we're terrified, underground facilities that they don't want the public to know. We have Kristenzeta. I think Kristenzeta deserved to be on the beach. Glad that she's fired. I'm concerned that the person who fills her seat next may be just as bad. But we need real leadership in Congress right now to hold these folks accountable and to be willing to subpoena them, investigate them in civil and criminal proceedings where necessary. I'd like to share with you some very disturbing 911 audio that I just listened to.
Lake County Central Dispatch.
First of all, Lake County, Michigan Dispatch. This is supposed to be law enforcement taking a 911 call.
Yes, ma'am. This is Captain Triber at the North Lake Processing Center.
North Lake Processing Center. It's the largest Michigan detention facility in the state of Michigan, where 90% of the detainees have no criminal records.
We would like to request our third ambulance for today.
We'd like to request our third ambulance for the day at a detention facility. These are people who are awaiting their immigration processing. Third ambulance of the day.
Okay, 1805, right?
Yeah, 1805 West 32nd.
Okay.
Okay. She's really concerned, I can see. A 911 call to a law enforcement officer at a dispatch center.
Okay, and how old is this one?
How old is this one? This one? Human being? Dog? What?
A 58-year-old Hispanic male.
And what's up with him?
I don't think I need to say anything else. What's up with him?
Abnormal EKG.
Is today EKG day?
Yes, apparently. We're learning.
Is today EKG day? I guess they get a lot of heart-related problems at this particular detention center.
ICE is buying incinerators, and now we have proof. A Navy contract was just released showing the Navy is managing the construction of a massive network of immigration detention centers across the nation. And what's included in the contract is extremely disturbing. It describes tent cities that can hold 10,000 people each, with a specific provision for biohazard incinerators under the medical and death section. That means they are specifically planning for death and choosing to burn the evidence right there on site. The reason DHS is paying the Navy $55 billion for this is so they can get this nationwide network of giant detention centers with infrastructure for handling death built as quickly as possible. And they tried to do it quietly by updating the Navy's existing contract to make this deal instead of creating a new contract specifically for this. Here are my sources if you want more information.
Luke chapter 10, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And behold, a lawyer stood up to put him to the test, saying, Teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And he said to him, What is written in the law? What do you read there? And he answered, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, and all strength and all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said to him, You have answered right. Do this, and you'll live. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, And who is my neighbor? Jesus replied, A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among the robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a priest was going down that road, and we saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and we saw him. He had compassion, and went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. He set him on his own beast and brought him to an inn, and he took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them the innkeeper, and saying, Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will pay you when I come back. Which of these 3 do you think proved neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers? He said, The one who showed mercy upon him. And Jesus said to him, Go and do likewise. Again, in Luke chapter 10, in the Good Samaritan Gospel, Jesus is outright outlining to us what apathy to evil is. So the Samaritan, the person who the Jews of the time hated, the outright enemy of the culture. Again, God will use the outcast, the immigrant, the foreigner to do good. Again, when you see people are being harmed by anyone, the state, etc., or by those who believe they can do as they wish to others, especially that they despise, again, what you do not do, if you choose to be complicit or complacent to what is happening, again, God is outright witnessing it, and you are going to be judged accordingly. So, again, when you see people who are suffering, the poor and everything else, the immigrant, everyone that's being harmed, especially here in the United States right now, again, you are still given this choice to this day. Again, what you have or have not done to others is what's going to judge you in the final judgment. And you cannot be apathetic to evil, complacent or complicit to evil. Dietrich Bonhoeffer defines apathy to evil succinctly in this quote: Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold guiltless. To not speak is to speak. To not act is to act. Again, when you see people bleeding out the street, people who are suffering, and people who, again, what the Trump administration is doing to all the immigrants, to everyone who has a different skin color that he despises, but again, all these people consumed, dominated by hatred. And of course, racism is a moral sin against God, and of course, I'll put the teaching there, more specifically, it's the church doctrinal teaching, in the link to this video. Again, that moral sin against God, they are all going to hell when they die either way. And that's excluding them being consumed, dominated by the spirit of anger, the spirit of hatred, which are both subservient to the spirit of murder that gives demonic suggestion to those susceptible, to those dominated, to harm and kill others. And when it comes to everything that's happening here in the United States, and reason why the Catholic Church, and I stand with the Catholic Church as a priest, again, it is the pure and utter demonic activity that the Trump administration is doing. And now you hear U.S. senators and congressmen saying that these women, these children, who are, of course, controlled and dominated by the state of Iran, that they deserve death. And so while all these bombings that are occurring with all these women and children being killed, again, your apathy to this, again, you are going to be judged. And what's happening to the immigrants, to those of ethnicities that Trump administration, or Trump himself and his people, believe are less than human, and believe they can dominate and control like these Christian nationalists do. Again, they are all going to hell when they die anyways. And it is your mission as a Christian to safeguard human life and to protect and safeguard people, especially the victims of hatred and wrong. You can choose to be apathetic, complacent, and complicit to it, or you can choose God. Again, and I'll be reiterating this closely soon enough, again, why you have free will, and again, why you cannot serve God partially. I'll be getting to this shortly enough.